powered by Riverside.
Hello, and welcome to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made us sad from the previous week. And because I am doing my best impression of somebody that is healthy and able to speak and be happy for everything that is going on, we are going to just go right into it this week. It is so great to have you back, Chelsea. By the way, we missed you last week.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, Wes and I did our best impression of attractive people, but we needed you carrying that weight. Wesley, why don't you get us going with what made you sad this week?
It's got to be Tua going into concussion protocol again, and he finished the game out, apparently, with having a concussion. The Dolphins just, screw the pooch again, and now it's that's his third concussion this year. That does permanent
and the
damage.
Second one where he finished the game, right? The second one where he finished the game.
Yeah, the second one where he finished the game, that kind of shit does permanent damage, and, I feel bad for him, and, the Dolphins are, they need new, medical staff. They need to, do an investigation of their, medical, concussion protocols, and because it's just terrible. This shouldn't be happening.
Do you think that there's any chance that he starts the game less? Or do you think that they're not going to go through what they went through when he played the Bengals on Thursday night where he went catatonic?
There's no chance he plays on Sunday. I mean, if they do, it's a major red flag on the Dolphins, I think.
Yeah, I tend to agree, especially what happened last time and forced Chelsea to go on her 15-minute, what the hell is wrong with us? After the Tua.
Yeah, which is why I'm trying to not get into it because it just gets me heated.
It is so hard because I think right after you did that, I did say we've got to be protected from ourselves too. We put ourselves at risk, and at this point in time, I think the knowledge is out there, enough knowledge is out there for it to be informed consent, right? We're informed and we give consent to put our bodies on the line out there. But yeah, I agree with you, Chelsea. It's hard not to lose your mind and be like, what can we do to keep this guy from getting a concussion, or at least just not put him back in the game? Why is he back in the game?
Right, exactly. And I'm really suspicious of what's going on there. But I mean, also, what's kind of happening with that offensive line that's really supposed to be protecting their guy? What is happening that 3 concussions in one
he likes
season?
To run.
No, I understand that, but I mean, they still need to block for him, give him space. He needs to be doing stuff doing, proactive, sliding, it's taking his seat, not letting himself get hit. But also, if he is going to run, then the guys need to be out there and fall back and block for him, so that way he can do that.
I'm surprised Russell hasn't had more concussions. Russell Wilson, given the number of times he was sacked and how garbage his O-line was when he was
They're
here.
built different.
Yeah.
Russell's a little tank.
Very tall.
Also, Russell's 5'9".
Yeah, Russell's short. That's Tua's tall, short. Yeah. He's tall and lean, but yeah.
Well, Tua's 6 foot. They're both actually short. They're both short, but Russell is built like a tank.
I like how we say 6 foot is short.
Well, I mean, for that position, yeah. Well, it's like in the NBA, right? When we look at the NBA and we're like, oh, Steph Curry's so cute. But in your life, he's one of the tallest people you know. He's one of the tallest people you've ever met in real life. But on that court, he looks like a tiny person, and it's the same with Tua. Tua's probably a pretty big guy, but you see him on the field with those gargantuan humans, and you're like, oh, look at how cute he is out there running around. Zip, 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 little Tua. But you also have to understand, Russell Wilson had that water, that magical water that cured concussions.
Neuro water.
That was one of the funniest things ever. You drink this, no concussions. Boop, boop, little sip, sip, no concussions.
I was embarrassed at that point. I was like, what are you doing?
You didn't see that one? You gotta look that one up after the show. Yeah, it was years ago. But look up Russell Wilson.
No.
Magic water, whatever.
Yeah, cures concussions. It was amazing. You got to think, too, they are in a playoff race with the Dolphins. They just needed one more win to really seal the deal, and they lost in that game to the Packers. But you can't really hate on them too much because the Packers absolutely needed that win to stay in their playoff race there for that. Both seven seeds, that and the NFC South are up for grabs, right? For me, what made me sad this week was another Raiders loss to a backup quarterback, another blown lead for Josh McDaniels. I mean, you got the Saints, the Colts, and now the Steelers, right? And some people are going to say, well, the Colts had Matt Ryan. He was essentially just reinserted for Sam Ehlinger because that was, Jeff Saturday's first game ever at a pro or college level being a head coach, and they gave up a lead in that game as well. Josh McDaniels has been just a sorry excuse for a coach all season. Lots of people want to put it on Derek Carr, but I think he has slipped off a little bit. He's fallen off a little bit, but this I don't think is on Derek Carr. I think it's absolutely on coaching, both defensive and head, right? It's the offensive play calling has been terrible. Darren Waller doesn't want to play for him at all, like to the point where he's pretending to be injured for the whole season until the last 3 games. You got Patrick Graham, who can't keep a lead to save his life. Seriously, the middle of his defense is softer than the Pillsbury Doughboy in the 90s.
Well, I gotta say, I applaud Devontae Adams for having like almost no production the last 2 games. Because of that, I beat you in fantasy.
Yeah, that was a big help. I made 2 big mistakes, but outside of those 2 mistakes, like it should have been a better game. And like every time I look at that back half of games, I'm like, oh, I've got 3 really great receivers: Keenan Allen, Adams, and Hopkins, and maybe they could do something. And
Hopkins at 4 yards.
I flirted with taking Hopkins out for Lazard over and over again. I kept switching them in and out, and I'm like, which one looks better? I was like, oh, maybe with the backup. Anyway, we're getting into fantasy talk. Nobody cares. West is in the championship. I think you're playing against Jessica. Like somehow she slid into the championship.
I'm still playing against. What's his face?
Michael.
Mike. Yeah, Michael.
Well, I hope
he won by 8 points. Not
barely.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is both you and I would have destroyed both of their teams in the playoffs. But it's sad because it's looking like I've got to go through another year of this. There isn't a ton of great free agents coming up, except for maybe Lamar Jackson. But everybody's like, oh, he's going to be a free agent. The Ravens are going to re-sign him. They just haven't come to an agreement yet.
At what point do you stop defending Carr? Because I've listened to you defend Carr like through thick and thin for like the last several years. Like, what's your breaking point?
No, it's not that I'm defending him. Let me be very clear. It's that like I know how hard it is. No, I know how hard it is to get a serviceable quarterback. Like this is fine with me. I'd rather be 7-9, 7-10, 8-9, 10-7 than fucking go through 2-14 for 20 years in a row. Like, like that was the worst. Like the worst is that every single year, and knowing your team's gonna fuck up their draft pick. Like that is the worst thing. For 20 years, we fucked up draft picks, and Carr at least gave us some stability. The big fuck up was bringing back in, I'm saying fuck a lot. The big one was bringing in John Gruden and Mike Mayock, because they were the worst combination of general manager and coach I have ever seen when it came to the draft. Well, just when it came to the draft and signing free agents. They were god-awful, terrible. I think there's 1 player or 2 players still on the roster from their drafts. Like, they were god-awful at picking players that were going to stay in the NFL. They were terrible at cornerback, the absolute worst, considering 3 of the people they drafted at cornerback aren't even in the NFL anymore. And they drafted those people in the first 2 rounds. 4 if you include Abram, because he couldn't get signed anywhere, so the point where the Raiders just released him. It just looks bad. Trevon Moehrig looks, or Moehrig, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's a safety for the Raiders. Like I think it's Trevon Moehrig. He's bad. He's always out of position, and Raiders fans really try to get themselves convinced. But what's my breaking point? I don't know. When there's another quarterback available that's better. Like, I don't want to hear shit until there's actually a better quarterback. Until then, like, he's Andy Dalton, Like, I'll deal with it, but don't pitch
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud.
God, I would lose it, dude. I would lose it because he's going to be bad. Like, everybody's all on Justin Fields' dick, too. Like he's a winner. And I'm like, Justin Fields has been bad throwing the ball. Like, yes, he's fun to watch. I'll give you that. He's exciting back there. But he's bad throwing. Now, I'm going to give him a caveat for Ohio State quarterbacks because we all know Ohio State quarterbacks are really terrible, and we're going to watch C.J. Stroud get his dick handed to him against Georgia. But Justin Fields doesn't have any receivers. So that's the one caveat I'll give him. He's got a great running game, but he's got no receivers and no offensive line. But when I've seen him throw the ball, like, people are like, it's the one throw that everybody keys in on. They're like, oh, that one throw. And I'm like, yeah, but he threw the ball 40 times. You can't just pick the one good throw and be like, oh, he's going to be great. And like, it's been 3 years, guys. Like, we're going into, after this season, we're going into year 3. So, sorry. No, he is better than Zach Wilson. If we had drafted Zach Wilson for the Jets, I'd be like, enough. Hone it in. Fight for the draft pick. Zach Wilson is absolute trash. That quite literal motherfucker is absolutely terrible. He is really bad. But yes, the Raiders have been a constant source of sadness for me. If you followed our thread, they've been bad. But yeah, Wes, that's the answer to your question: is when there's a better quarterback than Derek Carr, I'm in. And I was in on before we found out that this guy was a predator and a terrible human being and the worst person ever on earth. I was in on that. Like, I want to.
It's totally washed out behind you. Can you just elaborate who the name on the board is?
Watson is a predator. And I was immediately out on that. Like, the second we all found out, I was like, I don't want him anywhere near my team. In fact, like, myself and Lucci, who's been on our show as a guest before, we were both talking. Like, Lucci wanted to replace Hurts with Deshaun Watson. And then, like, we had a chat, and I went back and told him, I was like, wow, we were way off on this Deshaun Watson thing, huh? And he's like, yeah, man. So that's what made me sad. Chelsea, what made you sad?
Signing day happened, and, there's Peyton Bowen. There we go. Said he was going to Notre Dame, and cool. All right. 5 minutes later, he's going to Oregon. All right. Cool.
Yeah, he was...
10 minutes later, Oklahoma.
He was... Yeah, so sorry, I'm just going to elaborate a little, because so the night before, he was in a Zoom meeting with other Notre Dame commits, and he was like, I'm all in on Notre Dame. And then the next morning, he picks up the Oregon hat.
Yeah, I mean, so this poor kid is, like, all over the place, and it turns out, like, he's got, like, mom pressure, he's got girlfriend pressure, he's not listening to himself, so obviously...
He's got Phil Knight pressure throwing the money bags at him.
But, I mean, he walked away from that, so who knows? But
Scrooge McDuck.
The point is, like, these poor kids, like, what... But in this day and age, though, what really, truly is the importance of signing day? Because with the transfer portal and the way everything's going, I don't even understand what this, like, whole charade of kids going to college actually is, if they're just going to transfer. Like, I took some time off after my freshman year, and I gained residency in another state, like, or was trying to actually go to University of Washington. It took me hours and hours and weeks and months sitting with committee to fight for every single class to get transferred, to get, like, everything layered and stacked. And at the end of the day, I actually just walked back to Oregon and I said, like, look, technically I still have residency here as well. Like, I hadn't changed a lot of, like, my permanent residence and things like that. So I went back to Oregon and I was like, look, here I am. I'm back home. I'm ready to do it. Let's
Quack.
Let's finish this thing up. But I did want to transfer, and my process was so painful and tedious. So I mean, the fact that, like, someone can just decide, like, and I'm not talking about these kids who are seniors in high school, who, before they've even gotten to class, but who have a bad, like, not a great finish to their season, and they're like, whatever, I'm just going to go to whatever school's got the bigger NIL deal, who's got the NIL money for me. Why are we pretending? Like, why aren't we just saying that this is some sort of, like,
amateur,
school-sponsored amateur thing? I mean, I think we just need to get over it. Because
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's still a big deal. Because all of these websites, like 24/7 and ESPN and Scout or whatever, that, like, have these subscriptions for, like, recruiting, are, like, they make big money off of, like, those subscriptions. And so they're going to keep the pressure to, like, make signing day a big deal. I mean, they even split it up into two. There's 2 signing days now. There's an early signing day, which happens before the bowl games, and then there's like an actual signing day, which happens later. And it's just being propped up by these websites. Is really all.
I think she's just referring to the whole college. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chelsea, but you're referring to the whole college football institution.
Exactly.
Not just signing day.
That at this point, it's just a joke. And I have worked with many actual like NCAA athletes. I was at Oregon while we were trying to actually move women's water polo into the Title IX program. So I would have been an actual athlete at Oregon. There is for most sports, with probably the exception of men's basketball and football, you are expected grades. You are expected to be a scholar and an athlete at the same time. Like, you have to do things properly in the way that you kind of expect to have to do. But with football, like, this whole thing just feels like such a farce at this point. And I think that,
at this point?
Well, but I'm saying that the rules have relaxed so much in the last couple of years that it's like, as bad as it has been, with the USC like bags of cash in the hotel room and all of that, and all of the allegations and the death penalties for like SMU and over all of the years that I
Reggie
think
Bush losing his Heisman.
Exactly. that we're at this point where, like, Jimbo Fisher over here has some words of wisdom. He said, "I knew eventually there would be pay for play, but I did not know it would be NIL like it came about." And I mean, it's coming
such
from
bullshit.
Jimbo, so I mean,
Chelsea, that's such bullshit. Well, hold on, Chelsea. Can I just comment on that? That Jimbo
there's
Fisher.
So much tampering, like he says, like there's so much tampering going on with the transfer portal, and it's ridiculous. It is a joke. It's an absolute joke. We're only in college football, but something has changed, and it feels.
Can you pull his quotes from last year?
Absolutely.
Wes, do you remember this conversation with Jim? No, I'm sorry, Chelsea. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but Wes and I had this exact conversation last season going into college football season. Do you remember the Jimbo Fisher Nick Saban wars, Wes?
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, we're not doing anything."
What a hypocrite, right, Wes?
Yeah.
What a he's like, these are the rules.
Yeah. Well, he was like trying to deny it, but everyone was like, Texas A&M is paying all their players. No, there's nothing wrong with it.
He absolutely was. There's no way that you have that kind of recruiting class and then do absolutely nothing with it if you aren't like just throwing money around. But that's what I'm saying, is that like there's this perverse set of like incentives to like. There's no. What was really fun about college football, right, is like it's local. It matters. It's about a community. It's about your college. It's about presenting it on a bigger stage, right? And there's like a lot of there's a lot of attachments and pageantry to it. Whereas like professional, people are they're going to move around teams and they're going to switch and there's going to be new contracts and things are going to change. But generally, you expected like signing day that the guy who sits there and puts on, the stupid hat is going to be there all the way to like either graduation or till he leaves early for the draft.
But that's naive. That's you being naive.
No, I'm not. No, I'm saying what that is me being old AF, which we discussed earlier. And sure, it hasn't happened in a while. It's been a little bit different, but I mean, when I was in college, that's pretty much how it was. Like, guys stayed there because there were restrictions. There were like so many rules.
Well, yes,
the transfer.
The restrictions were more stringent, but people's transferred all the time. Now it's kind of like a who's who.
Free for all.
I think that there should be a way. Wes, would you be comfortable? Because I don't want to just trash you when you mistook the point. What if like these 24/7s, these ESPNs, these Bleacher Reports? What if we just called it semi-pro free agency? What if that's just what it was?
I mean, sure.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to like keep track of who's on your team now because like there's so many players that like leave and like come through the transfer portal. Yeah, it's hard to like keep track of who's on your team. But whereas before, like I would know all the seniors on the team. Like, I wouldn't know like all the freshmen and sophomores, but like the juniors and seniors, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, they were playing last year. Like, I know who the starters are. I know everything, but now it's impossible to keep track of unless you're like all in on it.
There should be some form of contractual obligation, but we all know in sports, especially in the NFL, your contract doesn't mean anything to the person that writes the contract. I mean, let's just ask Nathaniel Hackett, who was let go unceremoniously 2 days after Christmas. 2 days after Christmas, they said, "We're done with you, Nathaniel. You cannot
Christmas.
work here anymore." Merry Christmas to you
filthy animal.
Your services are no longer needed. But they held on to Russell Wilson. And I got to ask, Chelsea, is Russell Wilson done? Is this it? Or is he going to have a renaissance next year if they get Sean Payton?
Well, according to, Patrick from SpongeBob, he is just done. Just stick a fork in him. Which,
I think you might be right.
I think that it has to be one of the funniest things ever. I think, first of all, that it's kind of adorable that Nickelodeon did like a SpongeBob cat, like Manning cast kind of like parody thing for Christmas for some reason. I don't know why, but it was fantastic television. I would love to watch more games where the commentary is actually from Bikini Bottom, if you will.
Yeah.
And
those playoff games are a lot of fun.
Yeah. I just think it was adorable. And, to see the little Patrick Starfish just roast Russell Wilson. Amazing television.
So Wes, what do you think? Is he done?
Yeah, I don't think he's really going to recover. He might be a little better next season, but he's not going to have. I mean, his prime days are over. He's not going to have like a breakout season like he did, a couple years ago with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, his ego's
Chelsea.
already recovered. That takes no time for his ego to bounce back.
We care a lot.
But yeah, as far as is he ever going to play at that level again? No. He's done.
In watching that Rams game last week on Sunday, I think that was the Sunday game. That first quarter, I actually was sad. I was just sad for Russell Wilson watching that game, watching that first quarter. I was just like, I feel bad for him. This is terrible. And Baker Mayfield was just like, yeah, they said I was done. One of us is done, and one of us is putting up 52 points. Okay?
Right.
Like, it was crazy. Baker Mayfield was perfect for, like, the whole first half until, like, the very end of the first half.
This is one of the things I'm sad about. We've been having issues with Comcast, so I haven't had my sports fix this week, so I haven't even seen some of the updates. I did not know that. I only saw the stat lines from the game, but that is insane.
Yeah, it was a tale of two Q biddies. One Q biddy was amazing and fantastic, and was lighting it up against one of what was considered the better defenses in the NFL in Denver. And the other quarterback...
has Russell Wilson just broken this whole team down now to the point where the defense is like, we don't want to get hurt. We don't want to bother. Like, we know our season's over and done with. Like, let's just pack it up, call it a night. Like just don't care anymore. What's going on over there? Yeah.
I mean, morale's low. There's infighting, so...
I side with the Seahawks defense. I side with the Legion of Boom. And I listened to an interview with Richard Sherman. And he's like, look, I'm not going to trash the guy. The guy's having a hard time as it is. He's like, all I'm going to say is, we told you. Like, we told you what was going on with this guy. So that's all he needed to say. The other one that I was actually kind of happy about with these billionaires spending all kinds of money was Robert Kraft flying that fan who was berated, and Wes and I went over during the terrible, terrible loss to the Raiders that the Patriots suffered. The face mush to Matt Jones. And, it was a pretty cool thing that Robert Kraft did, flying him out to New England, putting him in a box, putting him on the field.
Yeah, that was when I saw that he was in the owner's suite with Robert Kraft. I was like, wow, my respect for Robert Kraft just like went up a little bit. Like I never had much respect for him before, but like I was like, that's actually like pretty good because he didn't need to do that. He could have just like got him tickets or whatever, and like everyone would have been like, oh, cool. But like putting him in the owner suite is.
See, this is the problem with wealth that people in this country just do not understand is when you are this wealthy and you have people on staff to do stuff like PR and they find these moments that are like just so easy. This moment went viral where this guy was, getting just berated by this crazy woman. And all of a sudden, Robert Kraft, he's getting this like massive boost from this easy PR gimmick. Like he spent like what a couple $1,000, which like he earns in interest in the time you can blink your eyes, guys. Like this cost him literally nothing. Yeah. And means nothing to this guy. He was probably in there for like, just a little bit during the owners, like during the game, and then was probably moved somewhere else. Like, ew, billionaire worship is gross.
No, he did get to spend the whole game in the billionaire box. He did get to spend the whole game in the billionaire box. But like like you said,
I think that's awesome for him. I think that's an incredible experience. But I think it's just so gross when we're like, when Robert Kraft, who has been stung for like, I don't know, prostitution and massage parlors in Florida, suddenly gets a bump from having a dude who had a bad time at a game while being a visitor and gets shown the owner suite. And all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, how great. Look at this sweet old guy. He does nice things with his money. Like he must give so much to charity. No, he actually gives just millions and millions of dollars to the Republican Party every year and gets to write it off on his taxes. Like, come on.
They give it to both. I listened to an economist on this. Like the owners give it to both. Yeah. It's just what you hear about is like the one that got the most money that year. But these billionaires and corporations give money to both parties.
Kraft actually parties at Mar-a-Lago.
He is that guy. You totally crushed. I was going to do a joke about, this is a good PR move because we used to only know Robert Kraft loved Meek Mill and he loves massage parlors. But you made it so serious. I couldn't crush the joke. I was like, oh damn, I can't tell the joke now. It's too serious. It's too real now. I had a great line for what we know about Robert Kraft, and it's fine. We know that he is an outdoorsman, Chelsea, because apparently he's pitching tents. Wes, are the Jags for real? I think this is the third time I've asked you this question. Are the Jaguars for real?
No, they're just in a crap division. They're in a crap division. They're decent. Like they're on par with the Seahawks, okay? They're not that great. They're
time out. I have to stop you.
They're an average team. Like right in the middle.
Wesley.
Maybe even lower than that. No.
3 weeks ago, Wesley.
Team. They are not for real. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is having a comeback year, but they still suck as a team. They are mediocre.
3 weeks ago.
They are in a trash division. That's
because you compared them.
Jaguars.
You compared them to the Seahawks. You said they're on par with the Seahawks. 4 weeks ago now, you yelled at me for saying, I think the 49ers are probably the best team in the NFC. I think they might be the number one. And you said, no, they're not even the best team in their own division. Seahawks, baby. Seahawks. And you were so adamant about it, and all the Seahawks have done since then is lose football games.
Because Tom Brady put a curse on us in Germany, okay? Since then, we've lost, like, all of our games, okay? I don't know what else to tell you. Before that, we were doing great, all right?
Chelsea, what were you going to say?
Got no words for that one.
So is Trevor Lawrence good, Chelsea? Because I said I don't know if he's good or not.
He's better than Derek Carr.
That's fair. I would take Trevor Lawrence over Derek Carr right now. I mean, that's a fair comment. You'd probably take him over Geno Smith right now, and Geno Smith played fairly adequately. Trevor Lawrence, there's a lot of upside. There's a lot to like about Trevor Lawrence. So what do you think about Trevor Lawrence, Chelsea? Is he going to carry them into the playoffs? Are they going to wrap up that 7th spot?
I got a big game against the Titans coming up.
Yeah, they do.
Well, you know who beat the Titans? The Texans. They can do it.
That division is just That division is bleeped 6 ways from Sunday. That division is so bad. Both Southern divisions are just so bad.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, like who owns like the tiebreakers or anything like that. But I mean, I guess they have a chance, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they
so
even have a
actually,
chance.
this week doesn't matter for the Jags or the Titans. It all depends on their last game of the season because they play each other, and whoever wins goes to the playoffs.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so there we have
That's boring.
What? Or is it like super climactic? Like, is that what we want? We want like it to come down to the wire, right?
Yeah, it comes down to the last game. It doesn't matter.
They both currently have a losing record, so
Yeah.
I mean, really,
They're both 7-9, right? Or 7-8.
7-8.
Yeah.
That I think half the NFL is 7-8.
Yeah.
So I had to look at this, and I was like, man, this is wild to me. But Tom Brady could very well slide into the playoffs with a losing record.
Yeah.
That's wild, right? Like,
Yeah.
think about Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of our generation, maybe ever. Winner. I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback ever because I've seen better quarterback play. But the best winner of our generation, the best winner ever at that position,
winning.
like at that position, might go into the playoffs with a losing record. And that absolutely blows my mind, right? Like, Wes has worshipped at the altar of Tom Brady for years.
For 2 years now. I hated
He's
him at the Patriots. Ever since he won the Super Bowl and decided to play like boat toss with the Lombardi Trophy, he holds a little special place in my heart now.
I thought you were going to say ever since he won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. And I really wanted to say, well, did he win that Super Bowl? Or did
Do you want me to log
lose?
off right now? I will freaking close my laptop. You do not bring up that game. You cannot bring up that game.
We can't even see you, brother. Like, you're just a black box over here.
Okay, good. See you guys later.
It's our Whistle in a box. So the other thing I'm tired of is listening to Cowboys fans because I think their team is mediocre. I think they're not good. They're going to make it into the playoffs, and they could very well lose in that first round. I love their defense. It's sad to say that, but like when you watch them compete against really good competition with a backup quarterback, they look bad. You know, Diggs, I think, was out of position a lot. Like, A.J. Brown really showed Diggs for what he was. And I don't know that they're as good as we think. And Dak Prescott is a liability. He just is. Go ahead, Chelsea.
I was just going to say, I agree. I agree with all of that. Like, I know that they're in this year's NFL, their record is incredible, but really they don't feel like an amazing team. It doesn't feel like they've got a lot of like cohesion. It feels like they've kind of just been getting away with wins. And like you said, you know, Prescott's a liability. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but I really don't think that they're going to get out of the divisions.
Yeah, and no. I don't like McCarthy at coach. How do you guys feel about that?
Really?
Well, I'm just going to say Cowboys aren't going to do anything in the playoffs like always. So they're never going to win a Super Bowl ever again.
Well,
that's a bold prediction.
Yeah.
Why did you we could have been doing the show for 30 years and we could have been like, hey, we're going off the air, and that could have been the last prediction. But now you've got to sit with that for a very long time. Like, you've set yourself up to sit with that prediction for a very long time.
Like, people and also like Frank, people in our family just do not die. Like, for whatever reason, like people just live until they just are so ancient. So I mean, he's got realistically, my brother has about 60 years of life left.
I hope not.
To deal with that prediction.
To sit with that prediction. So yeah, okay, brother.
All right. Well, we've also got the NFC North, the Lions, Packers, and Bears. Oh my! Where the Bears are really just playing spoiler at this point, but do they really want to spoil anything when they're up for a top 5 pick? And then the Packers all of a sudden are in the rearview mirror of the Lions. Like, that is another crazy division.
Go away, Aaron Rodgers.
That's it? That's all you got from me on that, Wes?
That's all I got. I hate Aaron Rodgers. Just go away. Just get out of here. I don't want to see you in the playoffs. I don't want to see your ugly mug anymore. Just go away.
And I mean, also, the Bears have lost 8 in a row. Like, are they really going to, like, muster up the courage, to, like, wait, hold on. I was thinking Courage the Cowardly Lion. Sorry, that's a lion, not a bear.
It's okay. You got your killer animals mixed up.
My Wizard of Oz, like, jokes. Yeah, just that one failed. But yeah, I don't really. I mean, if they do spoil someone's season, that's going to be hilarious. But I don't think they will. I think it'll be between the Lions and Packers. And again, I haven't seen the tiebreakers over there, so who knows?
Packers need a lot of help.
The Packers do need a lot of help. I don't see the Lions pulling it off either, but no one really wants... Wes, you said this in the production meeting. No one really wants that 7th spot. Like, no one really wants it.
No, the Seahawks are still somehow in the wild card race, even though, like, after losing 3 straight, or, like, 4 straight, like, boggles my mind. The Packers are in it now. The Lions are in it. Like, even, I think, like, New Orleans still has a chance of getting it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, Commanders.
They're still in it.
The Giants.
So all of the NFC East could go to the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they won't, but they could.
Yeah, that's possible.
Just want to see, like, the matrices out there. Let's, like, do the actual math. But it is possible. Okay, so that's now what I'm rooting for.
You want a whole division in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I hate that.
There's
division.
something wrong with you.
I just like when things are.
You want
weird.
Dan Snyder to make it to the playoffs?
Did you have a concussion? Do we need to put you in concussion protocol and sideline you for a week?
No.
Wes, she was already sidelined for a week. Leave her alone.
Yeah. No.
We gave her concussion break.
It's kind of like when you root for Scorigami because you just want to see like the weirdest possible outcome of a game that's never happened before. That's it. Yeah. That's all it is. I'm not rooting for Dan Snyder. No freaking way. But aside from ownership, I do have just like this small little like ember of a flame in my heart for the Washington football team, and I will always call them
because it's DC.
What? No, because it's just hilarious that they had an offensive mascot, then couldn't decide on a mascot, so they were just the Washington here's the generic.
But people love that name, which was random. Yeah. Like we all made fun of them, but people ended up loving that name.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was wild. All right, so ending on a happy note, the equal pay bill was passed. U.S. women's soccer did an amazing job fighting for that, and it got passed. So we are all excited for that, and we're all excited, like we said last week, Women's World Cup coming up, 2023, Australia, New Zealand. And we had a huge moment right before we went on air. Luka Doncic put up 60, 21, and 10, which is absolutely wild. I think he might be the best player ever at his age, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty certain, like statistically, before you guys like come at me with Kobe and LeBron and
just want to run the math. Well, how old is he now, though?
21, 20, 22, something like that.
23.
23. Okay, so 23 years old.
I mean, he's really good. Yeah, I'll say it. He's really good.
He's really
numbers.
good.
I'll come back to you next week. I'll let you know if that claim is true or not.
Okay, yeah, I think he might be that guy. And then we had a funny story, a good story, a heartwarming story where an NIL deal was signed by an LSU player to stay in the Cheez-It Hotel. Chelsea, that was your heartwarming story. You want to tell me a little bit about that, Reed?
This was just the funniest story to me, and probably because if you've watched any college football this season, it has just been flooded with Cheez-It ads constantly. And so, like, are you feeling the cheesiest? I woke up feeling the cheesiest, coach. Like, everyone's just making
That's every year, though. Ads. That's every year. Every year.
No,
Cheez-It,
I
Dr.
know.
Pepper.
So the funny thing is that usually, so like Dr. Pepper changed up like the whole like timeline of the Fansville series and everything like that. Like I said,
I've
watched a lot of college football in my life. But Cheez It, for whatever reason, has not changed their ads at all in like 5-10 years. And now they have like the title sponsorship of one of the bowl games. So it's the Cheez It bowl game. Yeah. And they are just absolutely everywhere. But they're paying an LSU player to stay in a hotel room that is decked from ceiling to floor in all Cheez It branded paraphernalia everywhere. The picture of the room is terrifying, but I mean, at least he's getting that NIL money. I mean, it's still embarrassing, but cool.
Collect while you can. And subscribe while you can. Remember, you can subscribe to us at The Sad Fan Cast. You will find our link tree on Twitter. You can subscribe to us on The Sad Fan on Twitter at The Sad Fan. Pardon me. You will find our link tree there as well. Or go to the Sad Fan Podcast Network. The Sad Fan is all one word on YouTube. We love you guys supporting us. We said Merry Christmas last week, Wes, so let's go ahead and give them a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
We will see everybody in 2023.
See ya.